How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to my Fantasy Premier League channel and for another little bit of a different video. It's going to be a Q&A on Game Week 24. So I've just asked you guys to ask me a couple of questions over on my Reddit page, on the Fantasy subreddit, and then also on Twitter. So this is just going to be a nice little video going through some of your questions and going more in depth on the blank and upcoming double game weeks that a lot of people have been asking questions about. So let's get right into it. The first question is asking me who and when am I going to use my triple captain chip on. Right now I can't really tell you who. I must say that if Chelsea do get that double game week in game week 25, their fixtures do look quite appetizing, but probably will use it in the upcoming double game weeks towards the end of the season. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but I probably will be using it in the first, not this first coming small double game week, but the bigger one coming with the FA Cup fixture. So I'll probably be using it then. On terms of who, I can probably tell you that it's going to be on probably one of the top 6 teams in the Premier League. Obviously Liverpool don't have a double, but that doesn't mean that I can't triple captain Salah. However, I don't really think I will. I'm always kind of a double game week triple captainer type of guy, so probably going to be using it on a Chelsea or a maybe not even a Man City because of that rotation, but a Chelsea or a Man United player, or one of those, or even an Arsenal player maybe. Then we've got quite a few questions on this one. This was just basically, when am I going to be keeping my wild card and my chips for the double game weeks and the blank game weeks? So thanks to all of you guys who've asked about that. It was a very popular question, as you can see. So I've basically just drawn up a little bit of a schedule of the upcoming game weeks here. So on the left we have the double game weeks and on the right we have the blank game weeks. So just a disclaimer, the only confirmed special game week out of all of these is game week 27. That is a confirmed blank due to the Carabao Cup final between Man City and Chelsea. So that includes Everton and Brighton as well. And then the game week 25 double game week, we will know at the start of the game week 24 deadline. So keep a lookout for that. I will post updates on that on my Twitter, and also follow Ben Krellin for more information. He's kind of the maestro on the double and blank game week setup and everything. He has been for quite a few seasons now. So if in terms of my chips, what I'm looking at now currently is using my free hit in game week 31 due to the bigger amount of blanks. I always kind of do that. It makes more statistical sense for me to kind of use the free hit when more teams are going to blank. And then in game week 32, I will use my triple captain probably. Game week 33, I will just try and use my transfers to prepare for that. It's a little bit easier to use my transfers because there'll be less blanks in that game. That's why specifically I'm saying I'll use my free hits in game week 31. Then in game week 34, I probably will use my wild card. And then in game week 35, I will use my bench boost. So my wild card will basically be preparing for my bench boost chip. And I've always kind of done that over the seasons. It works quite well. But then obviously I'm not ruling out maybe using one of my chips in game week 25. We just don't know the current state of the game week. So for now, that's kind of my schedule that I'm going to be using. Obviously, there's lots of different strategies. Also, one of the things that people are asking me is a strategy for the free hit if you don't have it yet. Or if you don't have it because you used it already. It's perfectly fine. You just have to kind of limit your transfers to double game week and blank game week players more than, say, a person with a free hit, because you have to prepare using transfers for these blank game weeks. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Obviously, you just have to have a bench that's willing to come in for your blank players. Then in this question, we have just a question about if you want to catch up on your mini league leaders, what should you do? So I've got a couple of tips that you can do. This is specifically for your mini league. So this is going to be either your cash leagues or your leagues with your friends or family. So the one tip I can give you is that you should look at the people that are currently leading your game week, and then make small changes to your teams if they're not different. So what I'm saying is, don't have the same team as them, have those little differentials that could prove well. It all depends on how far you are behind. So if you're only a couple of points behind, I would suggest staying with the same big hitters and then just making slight transfers maybe to get those clean sheet points, have different defenders, have different midfielders, have maybe one or two different attackers. But what I'm basically saying is, take this week for example. So the main captain probably is going to be Mo Salah. But if you have Aubameyang, you might think that your leader will captain Salah, as most people will do this weekend. So what you can do is you can captain Aubameyang then. But that is a high risk, high reward strategy. So that's what I'm saying. If you are very far behind, then use that strategy. But if you are quite close, stay with how you're feeling and then just make those one or two different transfers from your leader and maybe it can pay off. Then we have a question of what team I support and who I reckon will win the Premier League. So I do support Liverpool. Fortunately, it's been in my bloodline for quite a while, so it's a heritage thing. And then who I think will win the Premier League, this is not really that biased, but I do think that Liverpool will win it. Just mainly they seem to have a better understanding of the Premier League, with Man City having all those intense fixtures over the coming game weeks, with them being in all the cups. So I just think that it might be too strenuous for Man City, even though they do have great squad depth. But I think that Man City will still do very well this season. I expect them to get a couple of trophies, but I think that Liverpool will win the Premier League. Then we have a question here of 3 rules to follow to achieve a high rank. So I've gone down and jotted them down. The first one is healthy addiction. That sounds quite bad, but I did include healthy, so it's not too bad. Basically what I mean about this is that you have to kind of be involved in the FPL world. So you have to keep track of all the injuries that are happening, all the blank game weeks, double game weeks, all those fixture changes, those intense things that maybe the casual player won't really focus on. You can look at upcoming fixtures, who the good options, all the stats. Basically what I'm saying is you have to be quite addicted to fantasy and be quite involved. Obviously there's a limit to everything. I'm not saying just go full fantasy Premier League, but I do think that you have to follow the community and kind of see what everyone's looking at and the best picks and that kind of thing. The second tip I have is ignore supporter bias. Obviously, as a Liverpool supporter, basically what I'm saying is, at the start of the season, I didn't bring any Man United players in, but that wasn't because I was like, oh, I hate Man United or whatever, so I'm not going to bring in their players. Basically, I just didn't think they were playing well, and as you've seen, as soon as Solskjaer's come in, I have brought those players in because they are good fantasy options. So I'm not saying basically throw your supporter badge out the window. I'm just saying that maybe make some more informed decisions and don't really base it on who you support. I see a lot of teams. I have some friends that will say they'll support Everton. They'll bring in 3 Everton players from the start to the finish of the season, and even if Everton don't do well, they just keep them in their team. So that's what I'm saying. And then number 3 is always go with your gut. I think those of you who followed me for a little bit, I've seen this in the transfers I do. I don't always just stick to the template and what the popular decision is. I kind of go for these little picks that might not be that popular, and people are like, oh, what are you doing, Dayvy? That's not going to turn out well, but it usually does. So I kind of am doing what I want with my team, and you just have to kind of stick with your gut and what you're feeling, and then hopefully that can pay off. Then we have a question of where do I live? I do live in South Africa. That is on the southernmost tip of Africa. We had the 2010 World Cup here, so maybe some of you guys came and visited. And then we have a question here about your rules on taking a hit for a transfer. Now, the number 1 rule I have is you can't judge your transfer on just one game week. I think a lot of people, and especially myself, we've had transfers where the player we've brought in hasn't really performed to the standard of the player we've brought out. But with a hit, I always think about the future. So that's when you're taking a hit for a transfer, it usually should be future-proof. So basically what I'm saying is I will rarely transfer out a player with a very good fixture, mainly because it's just not worth it for that hit. And I've advised this to some of my viewers that they shouldn't make hits when they're just scared of having like a city coverage player or whatever, and then they're transferring out a player with a good fixture. So basically, if you think that this hit's going to pay off in I'd say the short-term future, I wouldn't go too long-term, maybe 3 game weeks, 4 game weeks, and you think that's going to be a good transfer, then take it. I don't really have anything against hits. I've done quite a few this season and in the past, so I think they're great. Then we have a question here about, since Mendy came off the bench against Burton, is it time to get rid of Sonny? So this has been a question that's talked about a lot in the FPL community, especially this week with Mendy's return. Now, I don't really think it's going to have that much of an impact on Sonny. I think that Sonny is too on form for Pep to drop, or for Pep to just be like, listen, we're not playing you because we're playing another left back. I think he is left back, Mendy. I don't know. So I just think Pep is just going to play him. They have to win games in the Premier League, and they're going to need their best team for it. And Sonny is one of their best players right now, so he has to play. So I wouldn't really be that cautious. I'd be maybe a little bit cautious if you're going to bring in Sonny, but not get rid of him. And then we have a question here on Hazard, and basically if you should hold him or if you should just transfer him out. Now, I think that you have to keep him for the next 2 fixtures. I think that we have to see how Chelsea are going to react to Higuain, and then we have to see how they do it in those fixtures, because those are just 2 great fixtures, and I expect Hazard to get some points from them. So if you have him, I would hold him. Then we have a question here about the best budget defender at 4.6 million. Who will be a differential, and then also some differential players that will score well in the upcoming game weeks. So let me just basically say a differential for me is basically a player under 20% ownership maybe. So the 3 defenders I've gone for are Shane Duffy, Cedric Suarez, and Willy Bolly. I think all 3 of these have very good fixtures coming up, and they could all score very well. And then in terms of differentials in other positions, I've gone for Sadio Mane, who, although he's quite well owned, he's kind of dropped off a little bit from the start of the season. Then I've got Benjamin Mendy, who is coming back from injury. And then I've got Heung-min Son, who has just come back from the Asia Cup. And I'll talk about his return a little bit more in the closing scenes. So these are the closing scenes. These are just some general talking points I want to say. So the first one is the early return for Son. I can include Son and Ryan in this. I just think Ryan's a little bit less attractive, so maybe people are not going to be focused on him. But that does mean that Button probably won't play. Now, I do think that Son might not play game week 24, but I do think that Ryan will. So if you do have Button like me, it's quite a downer. I was looking forward to playing him, but not too bad. We'll just adjust to those transfers. Now, the early return for Son's quite an interesting one. He's probably the most attractive Spurs option right now with Ali injured and Kane injured as well. I do think he will probably play up front, and he'll be a great asset to have. I'm definitely looking at him to bring him into my team, and I don't really know how I'm going to do it. Probably take him out for a Richarlison, but I might just wait 1 game week to just see how Spurs are feeling. And then there's potential game week 25 double game week. Now, it's still potential, it's not confirmed, but we will know that after the FA Cup rounds. It probably won't be for both Man City and Chelsea, it'll probably be for only one of them, so just watch out for that. But if you do have Man City players and Chelsea players, I would keep them right now, because imagine that a double game week in 25. You just would not be happy transferring them out in 24, and then they have a nice double game week in 25. And then I just want to talk to you about avoiding blank players. So I've seen quite a few people kind of talk about avoiding bringing in blank players, and this is always kind of a stigma that goes around this time of the season. But if you're looking at the types of teams that are going to be having blanks, it's probably going to be a lot of the top 6 or the top 10 teams, because you expect them to go further on in the competition. So would you really not want to go without a Man City player for the rest of the season, or a Chelsea player for the rest of the season? No, you wouldn't. So that's why we have to kind of address the players and hope that we get some bench players in, that maybe we can even rest that top 6 player for that game week, and then kind of see how it goes. So if you're trying to avoid blank players, I would be cautious, but I wouldn't be ignorant to the fixtures. That's kind of what I want to say. And then my last point, and please do this, is pay close attention to the FA Cup fixtures. So the FA Cup fixtures have happened already last night. Man United beat Arsenal, so that means Arsenal will have no blanks. So that's a great thing if you have some Arsenal assets and you want to bring them in. But what I'm basically saying is, so take Doherty for example, the player that I know, that I own. He got rested in the Premier League recently. So if he plays a full 90 minutes in the FA Cup, that's basically a guarantee that he's not going to be playing in the Premier League. And then I'll have to look at transferring him out. So that's what I'm saying. Look at the players. Make sure you follow the injuries that happen and just the general talking points. If those teams get knocked out, that means that they won't have a blank. So please pay attention to the transfers and try and hold your transfers until after these game weeks. And also after this FA Cup game week, the Game Week 25 double is going to be confirmed. So I would keep my transfers for that and pay attention to the FA Cup fixtures. But otherwise, thanks for watching this Q&A. I know it's a little bit of a different video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Dayvy FPL. And if you want to reach me on Twitter or just comment down below in this video. And then please check out the Game Week 24 preview. It's also a very good video that I just made. Otherwise, please subscribe to the video. We are rising up the ranks in subscribers now, so thanks a lot for the support. And then please like this video. We have been getting crazy amount of likes on the videos, and I'm super proud of you guys for supporting me so much. Then also follow me on Twitter at DayvyFPL. And otherwise, this has been a very good Q&A video, I think, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.